Focus, focus.
Everybody focus.
You guys are done with time for a minute, so you can just until we're ready for the test. We'll review a little bit on our remembering. However, we kind of get a break from that brain work to go back to some tables. And you guys are really good at these. So I just want to read the letter quick. This is what our next big idea. It says, in the rest of the lessons in this unit, your child will be learning to show information in various ways. You'll learn to read and create pictographs. What are these ones called?
Pictographs.
And bar graphs.
Paragraphs.
We will also organize and display data in frequency tables and line plots. Frequency tables are just like line plots, but instead of using the dots, it's a chart where you record it like this with tallies. Do you remember seeing those in the past maybe?
I don't know.
So examples of pictographs, bar graphs, and line plots are shown below. You are learning how graphs are used in the world around us. You can help your child learn by sharing by sharing graphs that appear in newspapers, magazines, or online. Thank you for helping your child to learn how to read, interpret, or understand, and create graphs. So that's what we're practicing today. And the first one that I want to show you is a pictograph. And this is a pictograph about people's favorite ice cream flavors. I'm aware that these might not be your favorites. However, we need to be able to understand how to read and interpret or understand pictographs like this.
That looks like the same thing.
So a pictograph is a graph that uses the pictures to share our data or our numbers. Capiche?
Mm-hmm.
What does a pictograph use to share our data? River? Pictures, little pictures. And then we have to look at this part called the key. What do we have to look at?
Key.
The key tells you how much these little pictures are representing. So in this particular pictograph, each ice cream cone stands for
4.
which means that when you're counting your ice cream cones, you can multiply them by 4. So if I were, oh my. If I were to ask you how many people said that their favorite flavor was chocolate, you wouldn't tell me 5. You would tell me 5 times 4, which is
20.
right. So 20 people said that their favorite flavor is chocolate.
Me too.
What about this one here where there's only half of a cone? Who can tell me how we would figure out how much that is? Braylon. Oh, I love how you explained that. She said we would think of half of 4, which is 2. So it would be 4 plus 2, which is 6. Braylon, give us another point. What do you say?
Oh, yeah.
Man, both of our smileys coming from that girl today. Where'd it go?
What?
I got some questions for you guys about this chart. They can ask us tons of questions, actually. And one of them is, how many total people voted? And we know that this shows my total number of votes. And so if you counted up all of these, this will be the total number of votes. Go ahead and do that in your brains. And when you have it, you can show me by putting your hand on your head. How many total people voted? I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 friends. 6 friends have their hand on the head. Show me. They figured it out. How many other people have found the number of votes that we have?
Oh, it's.
What did you get, Eli?
30.
You're not Eli.
I got 26.
26. Are you ready to check with me?
It's 36.
Let's count how many total cones. Ready? 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So 9 times 4 Aha. Did you multiply by a different number, Eli?
Yeah.
Which number did you multiply?
I only multiplied by 6.
Oops. So we just have to remember, we're going to always check our key to figure out what are we counting by. So, or you could do here, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 37, 38. Kind of a tricky one, right? Good. We're going to do another practice problem about this. Are you ready?
Yes, we are.
My shoe broke.
How many more people voted for chocolate than for peanut butter crunch and cherry vanilla combined? So you would be doing for the, oh my, it's not a fart thing, we're still listening and thinking. How many more people voted for chocolate than for peanut butter crunch and cherry vanilla combined? So you're comparing these two amounts and you would think, all right, which one's bigger? Chocolate or peanut butter crunch and cherry vanilla? So those two combined or chocolate, and then how many more? Think that one in your brains and put your hand on your head. Oh, don't flirt it. Think it in your brain. Put your hand on your head when you've got your answer. How many more people voted for chocolate than for peanut butter crunch and cherry vanilla combined? Gunnar, what do you think? 2 more people, let's see. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 20 people voted for chocolate. 4, 8, 12, 16, 17, 18 people voted for peanut butter crunch or cherry vanilla. So how many more people voted for chocolate? 2 more people. Nice work, dude. All right. That's it for pictographs for now. Let's move on to making one. Making a pictograph. I better zoom out a little bit here. Skylar, you want to erase that board for me while I get this adjusted? I will tell you guys, sometimes these are tough. So when we go to make a pictograph, we have to choose, first of all, we have to choose what is our picture going to be in our key. And then I think so first of all, that has to be something that we can actually draw, right? So it's not a super pain to create our pictograph. And the second thing you have to think about is, what number do we want that to represent that would be an easy count by for all of these? And so something you can do is when you look at our data, so if we look at this table and we say jazz, we have 12 jazz CDs, we have 16 rap CDs, and we have 4 classical CDs. Is there a certain count by that you guys know has all of these numbers in the count by? Emerson? 4s, let's check. 4, 8, 12, 16, oh, and 12. That would be a really smart number. Do you guys see how that works?
Yeah.
Would it be smart to use 3s as my pictograph?
3, 6, 9, 12, 15.
I can't really do that. So when we look at this, when we look at our data for creating our own pictograph, we really have to think, what would be a number that goes into all of these really easily? And I think Emerson kind of nailed it with that one and saying that 4 would be a really great amount for how much it stands for.
And also 2.
Now you guys are in a generation that doesn't really use CDs.
Also
but
2s.
True, 2s would work, but guess what? If we do 4s,
You'll go up
we get to do half the number of pictures.
What
If
about
we do
6?
2s, we have to do doubles.
Wait, but
We can't do 6, right?
yeah.
3rd grade. Does anybody know what a CD looks like in this class?
Oh, me.
Kevin?
It's a circle disc.
It's a circle disc. And so if we just make it a simple circle like this,
Like it's
so a CD looks pretty much just like a DVD. Now I need your guys' help to tell me what other information from this table needs to go into our pictograph so that we know what we're talking about. And the first thing's gonna go on top. Who thinks I know what might need to go at the top of our pictograph? Jade.
On the top, maybe what we're writing about the CDs,
Yeah, what was on the top of the other graph?
ice cream.
Or of the other table, excuse me. The one that we're kind of copying from.
The one that was
This one here. Yeah, what's this one called? Kanye?
Kanye's CDs.
Kanye CDs. Can anybody think of what we might call this part of a graph or a table? If it's naming it, Skylar?
Title?
It's the title. Yeah. So we can use the same title because we're talking about the same stuff, right? So the title of our pictograph is going to be Kanye CDs. I'll write that right over here. Kanye CDs.
How do you spell CD? It's just a C and a D and then an apostrophe
It's
S.
right there. Yep.
G.
What might go in these spots here? Who has a guess for what we could list there to record our data in a smart way? Riley?
The name.
They're actually not people's names. We don't have anyone's names in here except for Kanye, because Kanye owns all of these CDs, but he's got 3 different types of CDs, right?
Oh, I thought those were names.
No, these are the types of CDs or the types of music, right? What are my 3 types of music? The types of CDs.
Jazz, rap, and classical?
Bingo. So I would put jazz,
How do you thought rap was a
rap,
name?
and classical.
And how did you think classical?
Now this part, I want you guys to help me out with. Are you ready?
Yes, we are!
Have your marker ready in your hand because I'm looking for someone who can represent. If there are 12 jazz CDs, how many CDs would we need to draw? 12 divided by 4. Think. Olivia,
3.
go ahead and come draw 3 jazz CDs up here for me to represent that data.
Can we just write circles?
You would do it the way that we made our pictograph.
Oh,
So you
4.
just have to do like a circle with a dot in the middle.
Circle with the. I know. She's probably gonna add the dot.
Bingo. All right. How many would we need to represent 16 rap CDs? We did 12 divided by 4 to figure out how many pictures for jazz. 16 divided by 4. Think. How many pictures that would be, Skylar?
4.
4. Come on up and draw them. Good. 4 CD pictures would represent 16 rap CDs. There you go.
That's one-handed catch.
That was a nice one. Good hand-eye coordination, huh? My last one is classical. While he's drawing that, who can think how many discs would I need to draw to represent 4 classical CDs? 4 divided by 4. Think. Rylan?
1.
Just 1. Come on up and draw for me. Good. Nice work on this, guys. That's another point for you. What do you say?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now I have to tell you, this is an awesome start. As we get more practice with our pictographs, I am going to get really picky. And the reason is because the reason that we do pictographs or bar graphs or frequency charts is so that we can look at numbers and answer things a lot faster. And so you always want to make sure of a couple things. Numero uno, make your pictures the same size. Numero dos, line them up nice and neat. So when we look at these, you guys made them pretty much the same size. The only thing that I would be picky on is, and I know you were the first one, so it's not on you, but I'm going to adjust and move my 3 over a little bit so that they're lined up. That way it doesn't look like they're taking up more space than my 4. Does that kind of make sense? So who can remind me of 2 things to think about when you're making pictographs? One thing, Braylon? Make them the same size. And Olivia? Line them up nice and neat. Nice work, guys. We're ready to move on. So we talked about pictographs. Now we're ready for activity dos.
Activity dos.
Bar graphs.
I love these.
Now, quick note. Bar graphs can be horizontal
Horizontal
or vertical.
or vertical.
A way to remember this is horizontal sounds like horizon, like the sun going up and down the horizon. Vertical, my athletes in the room, you might be like, oh, I have a 6-inch vertical, which means that you can jump up 6 inches, right? So vertical's up and down. So if I were pointing at these two graphs, clase, who can tell me which one is my vertical bar graph? The top or the bottom one? I'm looking for a mathematician. Gunner, which one is my vertical bar graph? Top or bottom? The bottom one, good, because my bars go vertical or up and down. Which one is my horizontal bar graph? Top or bottom? Eli. Top, because my bars go horizontal or side to side. Now I'm going to pick which one to ask you questions about. We're going to talk about the flowers in Mary's garden.
Mary.
So there's a couple things in here. I'll zoom in a little bit more. The title of my graph would be
Flower in Mary's garden.
Now we have an x-axis and a y-axis, and there's always some labels. What are there always? And they tell us what we're talking about. This one tells us that these are the kind of flowers. And whenever you have the numbers, you have to say, well, hey, what's that telling us? This time it's telling us the number of flowers. So if I were to ask you, oh my, if I were to ask you how many roses are in Mary's garden, who can answer that question for me? Mr. Paisley.
16.
There are 16 roses in Mary's garden. If I were to ask you how many zinnias there are in her garden,
Where is he?
Rylan, there are 10. If I asked you how many roses and zinnias together she has, how many roses and zinnias combined Mary has?
Wait, what?
Ooh, how many roses and zinnias does Mary have in her garden? Skylar?
26.
It'd be good. It'd be 16 plus 10, which is 26. Bingo. What if I asked you how many more roses and zinnias she has than tulips? We'd be comparing these two combined
26.
to my number of tulips. How many more roses and zinnias does she have than tulips?
That equal 12. So 12.
What do you think, Riley? Well,
Wow.
I would be comparing 26 to 14. What's the difference between those two numbers? If I did 26 minus 14, you wouldn't have 2, but you'd have... 12. It'd be 12, right? Very good. Are you ready to create your own bar graph?
Yes.
Check it out. Let's do sports. Alright. They have given us a table about favorite team sports. Now this obviously, we were not the class that they pulled for this. However, they pulled a group of people to figure out if their favorite sport is baseball, soccer, or basketball. Now, in our pictograph, we looked at the numbers to figure out how much our picture would represent. When we're creating bar graphs, we have to do that again and figure out a good number that goes into all of these. But the reason we're going to do it is because that's going to be our interval that we're counting by for the lines. Does that make sense? So that word interval means how much are we counting by, or how much space is in between each number. So if there's 35 people that said baseball's their favorite, there's 60 that said soccer's their favorite, and there's 40 that said basketball's their favorite. What would be an easy number to count by to keep track of numbers this size? we do always have to start at 0, so keep that in mind. What would be a good number amount to count by that we could fit all of these amounts in? Keegan?
5.
5s. Let's double check and see if we have enough space to get up to 60 counted by 5. Ready? Check with me. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Okay. 5s won't work for this amount. Won't work for this amount of space, so then we'll have to rethink. That's why we're not writing it yet. What else could we count by, Rylan?
Maybe 4s?
Well, we can't go lower because 5s didn't have enough space. River?
Maybe 10s?
Maybe 10s? Let's check. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then it would be 70 on top. So you guys pointed out 35 wouldn't fit. However, have you ever seen a bar land? Kevin, say that again.
You can put it in the middle.
Yeah, have you ever seen a bar land in between two lines? Would we know that halfway between 10s would be another group of 5?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and do that one. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. Now they've provided us with a blue line way up here, a blue line, oh, that's actually not part of this, a blue line here, labels, and then 3 sections. Who thinks that they could tell me what to put on the blue line on top? Probably our title. For real.
Favorite teams.
What would our title be? Favorite team sport.
Not the same song.
Who thinks they could tell me what my 2 labels might be? They're usually section headings in my table also. Keegan.
So your label can be total sports.
Total sports. They've given us a couple examples here.
Number of students.
Good. Would that be my label for this side or the bottom label? So my number of students is going to be here with my word labels? Or would it go with my numbers? Probably with my numbers, right? When we're checking the numbers, that would be telling us the number of students, right? So we'll write that and we write it sideways.
That's hard.
No, it isn't.
Well, when you guys are doing it on your paper, you can actually turn your whole page. Oh, I just went to write the word paper since I said that. Number of students. Okay, so what would be my label for down below, friends? If we already did our title, we did number of students. What's gonna go on the bottom, everyone?
Sport.
Sport. And I had 3 sports. Tell me my first one.
Baseball.
Baseball, soccer, basketball.
Oh, well, there's a lot of extra blurting. My first one was baseball. What is my second sport?
Soccer.
What is my third sport?
Basketball.
All right. Everyone have a marker ready so that if you get called, you can draw my bar.
I don't have a marker.
To do this, like for baseball, you guys already told me it's going to have to go in between 30 and 40, right? I always draw my line there first. So I know, okay, here's what I'm going up to. And then from my total number line, then I connect down to the base and decide what my pattern is. This one I'll do stripes. Sometimes you can do polka dots. You can shade it in. You're going to choose. Who represents the number of soccer players that we have?
What about
Gunner.
the slacker catcher?
Let's see it, my friend.
Slacker catcher.
Good. He's checking it right up to that 60 line because that's the number of soccer players, and then he's nicely, neatly drawing his lines down. And then what pattern would you like open? It's actually going to go, I know it's hard to tell because you're standing there, but it goes all the way down here. It's hard with the projector. Oh, he's doing a swirl line. I like it. It's like a doodle bar.
It's supposed to be Green.
Who would like to do represent how many baseball players or how many students said baseball is their favorite sport?
You already did baseball.
All right, so Jade filled in my baseball ones. She chose like some funky zigzags there. So here's some things that I love that you guys did. First, you marked the total. Then you connected the bar down.
Oh, lunchtime.
And finally, you filled it in with a pattern. Good work. You're ready to move on.